Hello and welcome back to the channel. Unfortunately, I am still sick, so instead of the anime recommendation videos that I normally make, this week we're going to do a tier list ranking the characters from Shangri-La Frontier based on how likely they would be to run the Naked Mile with me. Now look, I know it may not seem like it, but I went to college, and when I was there, I went to a lot of parties, I played a lot of beer pong, and sometimes you could add on your own rules for a higher stakes game, and one of those rules was the Naked Mile, where if you got skunked, which means you got no cups and the enemy team, holy shit, the other team got all of their cups in, that means you had to take off all your clothes, run a lap around the house and in front of God and everybody. Now normally this didn't happen, but if somebody was stupid and cocky enough, hey, how's it going? You would be seeing bare ass by the end of the night. And the question that I'm posing today is, who among these brave and valiant soldiers would be running that lap with me? All right, let's get this moving. The first one is Sunraku. This might seem obvious to some of you, but I don't think you're thinking that hard. Sunraku does not want to be naked. At all. At no point has he ever wanted to. He's constantly talking about how he wishes he could put on armor. This is not the default layout this man wants to exist in. I think he would be pretty unlikely to run the Naked Mile with me. I don't think he's as much of a streaker as you guys might think he is. Emule is next. I'm going to say, I don't know. I feel like she might get pressured into it by, whoever she's playing with me. Would I force this cute little rabbit to streak around? I mean, she's a rabbit. Does it even matter? Well, she does wear clothes on a regular basis, so I would assume she does prefer being clothed. I'm going to leave her in uncertain. I don't know if I could bring myself to do it, but, desperate times may call for desperate measures. Next is Elke, Emule's older sister. Now, you might think that this is closer to the bottom, because, she don't take no shit, but I think there is a very high chance that she just immediately refuses, but then says that she'll do it if everybody at the party pools money together, and I think they do. And so I'm going to say this is likely she would be running the Naked Mile. As long as somebody had $20, any amount of money she would absolutely lock in. Katsuo is a fun one because Katsuo, okay, here's the thing, right? Katsuo, best friends with Sunraku. Sunraku, known idiot, right? This guy gets just pulled into the most unnecessary bullshit all the time because he listens to morons like Sunraku. And I am a moron like Sunraku. I could definitely convince him to not only play with me, but to play with high stakes rules and to run the Naked Mile when we inevitably lose. So actually, 100%. 100% Katsuo's running the Naked Mile. Next up is Pencilgon. You might think this is a no shot, right? You might think we're just filling out the first row just like this. We're not. Let me tell you why. Pencilgon, right? She is absolutely the type of person to put higher stakes on a game when it doesn't need to happen. She is the person who got us into this mess. One of the few people on this list who would actually get me to do something dumber than I normally do. That's Pencilgon. So 100%. She, at the very least, is above no shot. Now, you might also think, well, Pencilgon is a beautiful woman. She is a model in real life. Let me tell you something. One of the only people that I have ever seen run the Naked Mile, apart from myself and a few others, one of them was a just unbelievably beautiful woman. You would never expect it, the shenanigans that they can get into. The question is whether or not she would be able to weasel her way out of it. She is a schemer, and I'm not sure about that. So, unlikely. Wait, that's not the column I put it in. Uncertain. She would definitely get us into the mess. I just don't know if she would weasel her way out of it while I am running the Naked Mile in shame alone. Next up is Ursula, and look, this guy is a whiner. There's just no two ways about it. He's a whiner. He will not even end up in this situation to begin with, right? This guy is just the worst. First of all, if I'm at a party with this guy, I don't want to be playing any games with him at all. I'm trying to avoid him as much as I can. But if I have to interact with him at some point, and we do end up playing that game together, he doesn't even accept the terms to begin with. There's just no shot. This guy is not just a weasel, he's a scaredy cat. As for the Sager sisters, look, I think if Sager Zero were in a losing position in this game of beer pong, she just cut the table in half. I don't think she would ever agree to play this way to begin with, not even for Sunraku. It's no shot. Sager 100, on the other hand, could easily get dragged into shit by Pencilgon. It seems like it's happened before. The problem is, I am not Pencilgon. I am just dumb enough to convince Katsuo to do something this stupid with me. There's no way I could convince her when Pencilgon barely manages to do it in the first place most of the time. I don't think she'd even agree to the terms. She would never play this type of game. No shot. As for the professor, this one's a little bit tougher because while she may have the appearance of a little girl, as we previously discussed on a prior video on this channel, she has the voice of Nakata Joji. And so the question is, would the guy behind this character play a game of high stakes, naked mile beer pong? And my answer is, I don't think so. I think it's pretty unlikely. Even back in his heyday, he seems like the type to sort of keep to himself. Any man that is going to dress like this in a video game is probably not going to run the naked mile. I don't know. It seems like clothes are pretty important to him. That didn't feel right, so I also decided to include Nakata Joji, the voice actor for this character, because I love him so much. I think, look, Nakata Joji is getting up there. He's like 70-something at this point. He is an older gentleman, but he just seems to have that spark of life in him, you know? There's just something about his voice that makes you think, oh, he can be a little bit of a rascal. I'm willing to bet on Nakata Joji. I think not 100%, but I think Nakata Joji would sign up for the game with me. And as we're, you know, on the throes of a loss, we're terrified. Well, I'm terrified because I'm going to have to run around a house naked, and I'm not that flattering, I'll be honest. He'll just look at me and he'll just say like, it's the little things, and he'll give me a wink, and then he'll streak around the house. That's what I think personally. I mean, he'll say all that in Japanese. I don't think he speaks English, but anyway. Next up is Mana, the video game store owner. Look, she seems like she's a lot of fun, actually. Like, I would 1,000,000% hang out with this woman at a party. There's no question about that. The question is, would she sign up for a game like this? I think it's likely. I think she just seems like the type where she just doesn't care. She's here for a good time, not a long time. Next up is Faria. This is the woman from the game that Sunraku played before he got into Shangri-La Frontier. There's absolutely no chance in hell somebody this annoying would... I mean, don't get me wrong. She would sign up to play. She would lose, and she would lose with the rules in place, and she would make up any number of excuses to get herself out of it. I would absolutely be running alone, and I would hate her as much as Sunraku does. Next up are Reiji and Mia, and look, there is no question in my mind. Reiji signs up for this game hoping that he can bring Mia with him, right? That's just the type of man that Reiji is. Unfortunately, I don't think that is the outcome, right? I think she'll pull something along the lines of like, look, you signed up for this, I didn't, and at the end of the day, this man is running the naked mile alone. She is, I'll say unlikely to. I don't think she would, but I think he is definitely doing it because of the scheme that he ended up putting himself in. Now, the blacksmith from Secondale seems like he has led a long life, right? He's had many experiences. I think a naked mile would be the least of what he has seen in his days. And if we're going by present day and what he would currently do, I think it's safe to say that putting this character in this video for a bit was funnier in my head. Next up, Animalia from I shouldn't have tried to say anything in Japanese in this video. That was a mistake. It's Animalia from SF Zoo. Holy fuck. This is either 100% or 0% based on one thing alone, and that is whether or not you have a pet to convince her with. If you have any sort of cute animal to say like, hey, I will let you pet my dog if you run this mile with me, she's in 1,000,000%. Unfortunately, I don't have any pets, so no shot. Now, Lycagon the Night Slayer is a confusing one, not in the least because he's a dog. It's confusing because I know what would happen. It's just I don't know where that leaves him in terms of this tier list. I don't think there's a tier that matches him, because what would happen is, right, we'd lose because he's a dog. And so when we lose the game, he would 100% be like, oh yeah, we lost, so let's go do it. And we'd be in the ready position behind a bush somewhere getting ready to go. And I would sprint out and you wouldn't see anyone else around me. And I would yell out cursing his name, and he'd be like, no, dude, I'm right here. And he would be right there, right behind me. Problem is, he's invisible, so nobody can see him. It just looks like I'm running alone. And if it looks like I'm running the Naked Mile alone, I would say that is equally shameful to actually just running the Naked Mile alone. So for the sake of, I'll just put this in no shot, because frankly, you wouldn't see anything. Now, next up is the Tomb Guard, and for the purposes of this video, I'll be calling him by his college nickname, Weatherman. Now, Weatherman is a sciences major, for sure. He was shown to be a researcher in the anime. So this is actually pretty easy, because I know a lot of people who were in sort of sciences majors in college, ended up going into those types of careers afterward, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that Weatherman definitely is running the Naked Mile 100%, because he is overestimating himself. Look, I have known these people in college. These people were very, very similar to me in that they just went completely crazy, and they were so sure of themselves because they were smart at the very least, and they lost games like mad. We would absolutely lose. There's no question about that. We would absolutely be running it. Now, in the case of Setsuna, that's a little bit tougher, because most of the female sciences majors that I knew were pretty serious most of the time. They were less likely to be, down for this type of thing. But no, it's really, the female sciences majors were in college to get shit done. The ones that I knew were relatively serious. I think it's pretty unlikely that she'd end up running the mile. Now we're getting to the devs, and we're going to start with Tsukuri. And let me be clear about something here. This woman has a personality disorder. So she's basically guaranteed to be running the mile with me. She definitely does not care who is around or what is going on in her general vicinity. The Naked Mile would not even bother this woman at all. She just wouldn't care. The Naked Mile being like, oh, it's shameful, and like, oh, it's awkward. Not for her. She doesn't give a shit. She has a personality disorder. Now, as far as the woman she is eternally locked in battle with, Ritsu, the other dev for the game, this is a little bit tougher. I would just say uncertain. I would say that Ritsu gets absolutely blasted at parties. There's no question about that. Like, she's off her meds well, not her meds, that's the other one, but she is off her rocker. She's just absolutely plastered. The question is whether or not you can convince her to play a high stakes game of beer pong. And I'm not 100% sure that you can. She seems a little bit more down to earth. She would probably insult me for asking to play a game like that and tell me to fuck off. And you know what? Respect. Sakai, this one, I think it's safe to say no shot. Sakai doesn't drink to begin with, because if he does, it will seriously screw up his stomach. He has IBS or something. And he doesn't have anywhere near enough Chinese medicine to even look at a glass of alcohol or drink in the way that we used to at these college parties. No shot. He's not even there. Visash is interesting because I think whether or not there is a game of beer pong, at some point, Visash is going streaking. I just think that like he's the type of dude where he not only owns the room, but also doesn't give a shit. And if he got drunk enough, he would just take off that gigantic, I almost said gigantic bunny coat, and something felt weirdly sexual about where I was going here. And I'm not trying to be. I knew big, scary looking dudes who would every once in a while just end up in wacky situations. And all I'm saying is Visash seems like that kind of guy. Now, Bilak and Aramis are kind of another, couple situation that I would put in here, like Reiji and Mia. I don't think either of these people are playing a game with me. I think they're playing with each other. And the question is whether or not they ever end up in this situation to begin with. And the answer is no. Because even if he is surefire cocky as hell that he can win this game, Aramis would never even take a chance on somebody else seeing Bilak streaking at a party. He's just way too much of a white knight. Even if she wanted to play a higher stakes game, he would just annoy their way out of it. So there's just no chance of that happening to begin with. C. Crew, on the other hand, this man, he is a man of the Bushido. And he would go Zaru his fucking way into doing this 1,000,000%. There's no question. Like, we would end up in that situation because I would be overconfident. He would try to carry me and fail to do so. And then we would do the honorable thing and do the naked mile together, running around the house in shame. Akane is a lot tougher. Frankly, I'm not really sure where she would end up on this list. I'm not even sure if she's like, I feel like maybe she would hang around the table, right? But would she even end up playing a game? I don't know. There are too many questions about her. And frankly, we really don't know that much about her to begin with so far. So I'm just going to say uncertain. Now, Super Ballman is the exact opposite. I know exactly where he is going on this list. And I know exactly why, because let me be clear about this. Super Ballman is annoying. All right. He is an annoying friend to have because he is constantly whining in your ear about something that like you should have done or this thing or that. He's just always got something to complain about. But at the same time, Super Ballman is a bro. All right. When I get him into that situation, like, yes, he's complaining about it the whole time, but he's right there with me. Even if he doesn't say anything, even if he tries to act aloof, let's be honest with each other, right? Like, he views this as like a bonding experience. This is what he went to college for, and he would 100% run the naked mile with me. He would do it thinking about the fact that he can tell it to his grandkids in the future while complaining to me about it in real time. He'll look back on it and laugh, but he'll be a pain in my ass for the rest of the night. 100%. Mold is also a really easy answer. This guy doesn't even play the game. He just stands by the table watching other people play the game, sort of backseating people, saying, oh, let me get a celebrity shot every once in a while, but never plays, never steps up to the table, and definitely would not make a bet for the naked mile. No shot. Rust, on the other hand, I would say is pretty likely. And the reason that I say she's likely is because she is the type of player to get overconfident about her skills and take on the wrong person and lose. But she's not the type of person to try to back out of the challenge that she set to begin with. She will take her L and she will take that embarrassment and look, she'll say like, oh, I'll get you next time. But realistically, she's just overestimating herself a little bit too much. I think she definitely ends up in a scenario like this. I think it's pretty likely that she runs the mile. Megumi, on the other hand, seems like a little bit of a complainer. I'm not quite sure. Part of me wants to put her in uncertain. Part of me wants to say it's unlikely. I think she would end up losing the game, but she would try to weasel her way out of it. It's pretty safe to say. And Sylvia's a little bit tougher. Something doesn't feel right about putting her on this list to begin with. Insert lolly joke. The problem with Sylvia, and even being on this list to begin with, is that if I'm playing with Sylvia, we didn't lose the game. So there's no way for us to end up taking the naked mile. Sylvia's just not going to lose to anyone. So as far as this list goes, no shot. But frankly, if somebody can't lose, they can't even be considered for the list. And I think that'll do it for the tier list. Let me know what you think, if there are any characters that you think would go completely differently and why in the comments. I'll see you guys next week.